Hi, I'm James, and this is a line. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to show you how this line will help you lose weight. And you'll do it without starving yourself, without spending hours in a gym, and without taking pills, powders, potions, or any of those gimmicks. Watch this presentation until the very end, and you'll also discover the little-known way to enjoy all your favorite foods, yes, even the fattening ones most diets forbid, and still shrink your stomach, take several inches off your waist, and get in the best shape you've been in years. And not only will you look and feel at least a decade younger, you'll better your health too. Because the tricks you're about to learn don't just tighten and tone your entire body. They also lower cholesterol, stabilize blood sugar, normalize blood pressure, and just about every other marker of well-being. The best part? You won't have to count a single calorie, eat bird-sized portions, or follow those complicated point systems. This is so simple, yet it's the most overlooked secret when it comes to weight loss. The same secret I accidentally discovered that helped me shed over 36 pounds of ugly fat and kept off till this very day. Plus, I'm going to reveal the #1 mistake almost everyone makes that leads to endless yo-yo dieting and destroys your chances of getting fit. When you find out exactly what it is and how to easily avoid it, you'll finally be on your way to that flat stomach you deserve. In fact, if you follow my step-by-step instructions to the letter, you have no choice but to lose every last ounce of your unwanted weight. Wouldn't that be a secret you'd love to know? Listen, I do have to warn you though, I have no idea how long I'll keep this presentation online. You see, unlike the mountains of misinformation floating around the web, in magazines, and those daily TV shows, this stuff actually works, and you won't find it anywhere else. Most of all, when you act on the simple advice coming up shortly, you'll experience fat loss results you never imagined possible. And to be honest, I should be charging for this. So watch it now while you can, and it's still free. Oh, one more thing. Now you may think you've tried it all and seen it all, but you've never seen anything like this before. And I promise, these solutions to get in the health and body you desire will surprise you. And one tip in particular will completely shock you. Remember, I'm going to show you how to shortcut your way to a flat stomach, and even more little-known tricks to get the figure that makes others faint with envy. First, I'm going to share a story with you that's pretty embarrassing, and quite frankly, somewhat painful. In fact, I almost left it out of this presentation altogether, and you'll see why in just a moment, so keep watching. Deal? Now, I wasn't always the guy others sought out for dieting advice, and I definitely didn't have a website that over 300,000 people flock to every month for cutting-edge fat loss tips. Far from it. In fact, I was grossly overweight and quite unhealthy for many years. But something happened to me one day that changed all that forever. Even now, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a sunny Saturday morning in Boston and the city was just coming to life. This was definitely the nicest day of the year so far. Everyone was stepping out to enjoy it. The many cafes and breakfast shops lining the downtown streets were quickly filling up, and you could smell the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee and fried eggs as you walked by. People were in a great mood, smiling and chatting away loudly as they picked at their food, happy to leave the cold, brutal winter behind and looking forward to the warm summer that couldn't get here soon enough. Sadly, I didn't feel the same way. You see, spring was always a somber time for me. It meant swapping the heavy coats and sweatshirts for t-shirts. Not to mention, beach season was just around the corner, and shedding those layers was a harsh reminder of how badly I needed to get in shape. What's worse is that every May I'd make a vow to lose weight, but I'd always fall short, ending up a little bit fatter than the year before. Now don't get me wrong, it wasn't for lack of trying. In fact, I'd gone on many diets throughout the years, and sure, I'd lose a few pounds, but eventually I'd get fed up with starving myself and just fall off the wagon. As you can imagine, I'd gain back every ounce with interest. But this year I felt especially down because, well, I finally admitted to myself that I had zero control over my weight or my health. I was literally a slave to food and bad habits and knew I had to change. And perhaps you can relate and you know you need to change too. For me, one terrifying thing had to happen before I really got it. That morning I was meeting my friend Steve for a bite at one of our favorite spots. It was only 9:30, but the place was already packed. So, rather than waiting for a table, we squeezed in at the counter. Now, I had the best intentions to eat something light like scrambled eggs and a bit of cereal, but the smell of freshly made pancakes was simply too overwhelming. And when Steve ordered blueberry pancakes, well, I just couldn't resist and did the same. Arrived, I was ravaged. So I drowned those babies in maple syrup and went to town. But in my greedy haste to swallow every bite as fast as possible, plus the fact that there was so little room to move, the unthinkable happened. The plate got too close to the edge of the counter, and as I was cutting through the pancakes, it flipped over, slathering my shirt and shorts with syrup on the way down before loudly smashing on the floor, sending food and glass everywhere. In a split second, all eyes were on me. I could feel my cheeks burning as they turned beet red. Reluctantly, I stood up and apologized to our waitress, who rushed over to clean up the mess I had just made. She handed me a moist towel to wipe off my shirt, and while I stood there rubbing syrup all over my gut, I felt like one big fat slob. I was so embarrassed, I wanted the earth to open up and just swallow me. What a way to kick off such a nice day, right? But things were about to get worse. A lot worse. After finishing breakfast, Steve went home and I walked to the park. Now at this point, I looked like a hobo, but I didn't want to go home and change. I knew I'd just end up on the couch watching TV and pass on my first workout. I was determined not to mess things up. So I decided to chill on a bench for half an hour and digest, then head to the gym. By the time I got there, it was busy as usual. Now, I never felt comfortable going into gyms given my size issues, but today, my sloppy appearance was making me particularly self-conscious. And those awkward stares I got as I made my way to the treadmill didn't help one bit. Nevertheless, I brushed them off and tried to focus on my routine. And after warming up with a brisk walk, I increased the speed and started a light jog. Not even 2 minutes went by when it happened. From one moment to the next, this paralyzing weakness came over me. I felt my legs turn to jelly and I started seeing stars. I was just seconds away from fainting. So I slammed the red emergency button to stop the treadmill and grabbed the handle to avoid falling. And as I stood there, hunched over trying to catch my breath, I could feel the blood pounding through my neck veins with every beat of my heart. After what seemed like an eternity, my vision finally cleared up. Somehow, I made my way to the bathroom and caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. I was pale as a ghost and cold sweat was pouring down my face. That's when I went into a panic. What's happening to me, I thought to myself. Was I having a heart attack? Was I really that unhealthy that I couldn't handle a few minutes of jogging? I just wanted to be on my couch, but there was no way I was getting there in this state. I was literally running on fumes, and oddly enough, I was starving too, even though I had just eaten a little while ago. So I splashed a bunch of water on my face and took a few minutes to pull it together. And after calming down a bit, I left the gym and hit the convenience store 2 doors down. I grabbed the first bag of chips I laid eyes on and started devouring them. Several bites later, I came out of my daze just long enough to notice the man behind the counter staring at me. So I walked over, paid him, and headed home. Once I got there, I raided my fridge and cupboards, plopped myself on the sofa, and started feasting to the point of disgust. Pizza, ice cream sandwiches, Oreos, devil dogs, you name it. I ate, and I ate, and I ate until I was sick to my stomach. And as I sat there in my syrup-stained clothes, feeling vile from all the junk I had shoved down my throat, I just snapped. Tears of anger and frustration came to my eyes. It was in that exact moment that I truly understood how bad my addiction to food really was and how little control I had over my health. And with heart disease and diabetes running in the family, I knew that this was just a small glimpse of all the bad things to come if I didn't change my ways and fast. So right then and there I made a vow that I would never ever let food imprison me like this again, that I would get fit and healthy or die trying. So I went on to read every diet book I could get my hands on. I spent countless hours at the library and online researching obesity, human physiology, and the connections between them. And after a while I started to see a pattern. It explained why some people could eat practically anything they wanted and not gain weight, while others like myself stored most food as fat. Not only that, I also stumbled onto a way to manipulate my metabolism at the cellular level so that I could enjoy all my favorite treats and still shed the pounds. And in a moment, I'm going to share my discovery with you. So keep watching. Now remember, despite my success today, I'm really no different than you. I'm just an average guy who went through hell before stumbling onto a system. A system that puts everyday folks like us in total control of our weight and health. One that frees you from the constant cravings, the endless guilt that comes from cheating on some diet, and the cycle of losing and regaining the same 5 or 10 pounds. A system that allows you to look your best, year after year, no matter how many candles are lighting up your birthday cake. The same system I used to get rid of 36 pounds of fat in a matter of weeks, and kept off till this very day. And it's the system I'll be sharing with you shortly, so you can finally experience the results you desire too.